So we are going to discuss two topics today. Last time we have discussed the project introduction to project management. So where we have discussed some terminology and everything. Here we are going to discuss the project management framework and project life cycle. Those two slides are supposed to be done by today. Okay. I think this is what you have discussed in the last lecture. Project, there were three characteristics that I have noted down. I think you have heard that. Once again, I write down temporary, produces a unique product, and well-defined objectives. Those are the three characteristics of a project. So the three characteristics of a project. Progressive elaboration, when the project goes on, we fine-tune the objectives, fine-tune the things that you're going to do, fine-tuning the project scope. That sort of arrangement is what you call progressive elaboration, maybe due to a research finding, maybe due to a situation like this, the corona situation. Right? So the construction projects have to do progressive elaboration these days. They have to reevaluate the situation at the moment in the industry, and they have to take some actions accordingly. Scope creep is deviating from the original objectives. Right? Operational work opposite to project. Okay. Project management, we have discussed application of knowledge, skills, tools, and technique to meet or exceed stakeholder requirements. So, in terms of triple constraints, we have discussed time, scope, and quality. Both time, scope, and cost. That's what pretty much what it is. Sometimes the quality is also added: time, cost, and scope. Those are the triple constraints. Who are stakeholders? Any party interested in the project. Right? Quality is expected to project manager that we discussed last time. So you have the slides, you can go through them. This is just to have a recap of what you have discussed last time. Right? What you have discussed last time. Okay. Today what we are going to discuss is program, what a program is and what program management is. We're going to discuss what a portfolio is and what portfolio management is. And we're going to discuss the project management skill sets that are defined in guidelines. Okay, that's what you're going to discuss in this topic. And in the next, we'll be doing another set of slides, and there we will discuss the project life cycle, small set of slides, sets of slides. We need this knowledge to move forward. That's the only thing that I need. Now here, we're going to discuss what a program is and what a program management means. What program management means. Now, let's say we have a project. Right? Let's say an organization like CECB or a big organization. We have several projects running parallelly. Right? If these resources are coordinated together, let's say this tiling person goes here and here the roof person comes here, the time has to be managed in a coordination manner, in a coordinated manner, right? Project 1, project 2, project 3. This is a program consisting of 3 projects, right? So all together, this can be managed as a project. We call it a program. We don't call it a project. This is also a project, but if there are sub-projects in that, no, not project, we call it program. Hope it's clear to you. There are several projects that are interconnected and interrelated and working and coordinating everything done by a central body. Okay, the laborers in this side get sent to the other side and they come here like that. That's what you call a program. Right? There are several reasons. One project itself can be a sub-project of a large project. Let's say you are constructing a university, maybe a road network, maybe a separate project. Landscaping may be a separate project. Building construction may be a separate project. So we can have several sub-projects within a bigger project. In that case, the bigger project is called a program. They may utilize the same resources, they may utilize the same roller, they may utilize the same concrete mixer, right? And they are interdependent. The construction of a road network clearly depends on the construction of buildings and that of landscaping, right? And sometimes several projects, let's say a hostel building with several blocks. 3 buildings in a hostel project, right? Hostel project with 3 buildings. So one particular building can be awarded to one person, and the other project, the 2 projects can be awarded to different contractors, maybe. But they are mirroring. They are pretty much the same thing. They're pretty much the same thing. So it's easier to manage together. We know the activities that are there. We know the issues that come across, right? Sometimes we have constructed a set of hostels somewhere in, let's say, Wayamba University, and we are going to construct in the University of Vocational Technology. So if the construction aspects are the same, we can manage them together if they are going hand in hand, right? So it may lead to improved management, higher chance of success because some experience have been gathered, and the project in a larger context is good to achieve like that, and cost can be saved. So we have discussed what a program is, right? We have discussed what a program is. So program management. So managing a program, as we have discussed, program is a set of projects coordinated together. Managing this thing is what we call program management. That should be clear. So the thing that we have to get out of this is the program is a set of projects managed like together. And there's another. Earlier it was program, now it is portfolio. Here this is a group of projects or programs that have been grouped together to meet a strategic objective. Here, now we have a project here. Project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4. These are several projects, and these 2 are managed together. So this is a program. Right? This is a program. So all these are managed together. All these are managed together. We call it a portfolio. We call it a portfolio. Right? The project, we have discussed what a project is. Program, a set of projects. Right? Portfolio, a set of projects and programs. Right? So ministries, we call normally ministries ministerial portfolios. It's the biggest sort of way that things are managed. Right? So portfolio is that. So you understand project, what we have discussed, there are 3 characteristics. Program, We manage several projects together. Right? Portfolio is about that, this program and maybe several other projects. It's the biggest picture. Right? So the portfolio sums up the organization's objectives. So projects individually may have their own objectives. Portfolios, we have to combine projects together, everything combined. So strategic plans, strategic goals of the organization. Right. Portfolio management is managing a portfolio. And the last topic for this set of slides, right, I'm not going to take long. Generally, project manager, it's good to be a technical expert in a project, but it's not essential. It's not essential, but good to be a technical expert. Good to be a technical expert, but it's not essential for somebody to be a technical expert to be managing a project. There are several organizations where I have worked with closely, where project management, construction project managers, they have management degrees. They're managing the projects, right? So knowledge is one of the aspects. Knowledge is one of the aspects. Right? Technical knowledge, the concretes, the mix designs, everything. It's good to have, but it's not essential to have. Right? And application area, standard, regulations, we will discuss one by one. General management skills, interpersonal skills, we will discuss this in detail in next set of topics, the next set of days. And the sensitiveness to the project environment. So sensitiveness to the project environment. Now, in March, nobody knew that the construction industry will run down flat. But it has happened, right? So if somebody had an idea that China has this virus and it will come to Sri Lanka and this has happened, they might have planned that. That's a skill that a manager is expected to have. Right. Knowledge. So we're going to discuss each of these things. Knowledge, application area, and these 5 topics. 5 slides, and this set of slides is done. Right. Knowledge. So a decent knowledge is essential, but not an expert. It's good to be an expert, but knowledge on management is needed. Knowledge on management is needed. Right? So the knowledge, the construction, the structural, the architectural aspects is good to have. Expertise is good to have, but knowledge is essential, but expertise, it's optional. And application area, standard and regulations. Right, application area, you should understand the categories of the project. You can go through these slides. I'm doing this just for the sake of completeness, because otherwise the subject is not complete. Right? Right. What is the difference between a standard and a regulation? What is the department? What is the difference between a standard and a regulation? Regulations, we must adhere to this. It's like building regulations. it's a must to adapt. We can't say that, okay, we are not following this, but standards are just guidelines. It's like VS 8110. There's no rule that you have to follow this. If you follow that, you are safe because it's a guideline, right? Now assume that you have designed perfectly as per the BS 8110 guidelines, but a building has collapsed perfectly to the guidelines, for perfectly to the BS 8110. Will the people who develop the code accept the responsibility? No. They are not going to do that, right? Even if you develop it perfectly to the guidelines, perfectly to the code, and fails, they will not take the responsibility. You have to take the responsibility. It's just a guideline for you to develop, for you to design things, right? It's not a must. It's not a must. So that is the difference between the standard. That's the difference between the standard and regulation, right? General management and interpersonal skills. So general management skills are finance management, purchasing management, sales management, legal management, those things. Interpersonal skills, these are important. Communication skills is a must. That's why you all always ask you to do the presentations and all and improve your English, everything, because that skill is important when you're communicating. Leadership skills, motivational skills, negotiation and conflict management. We will discuss this in detail in project HR management. But have an understanding that these are the skills that the project manager should have. Planning skills, organization skills, like that. And problem solving skills as well. Sensitive to the project environment, cultural environment, ethics, everything, political environment. Now, these days, we are nearing an election. So how to manage a project is different from 1 year before, maybe 2 years before. Okay. To the political, we have to be sensitive to the political environment. So the politicians that you follow as organizations are different now. Last time it was another government, this time another government. So the government policies are different. Last government, it was taxing all the people. This government reducing tax and increasing production. Right? So government policies are also directly affecting the projects. And international politics also matters. If there's a war in Middle East, you understand what happens to our oil price. So we have to be sensitive to those matters as well. Political climate, time zones, holidays. If you're working multinational projects, so you have to understand. Especially people who are working in software industry, they are working at night, not during the day. During the day, they are sleeping at night because the time zones are different. So you have to understand that as well. Physical environment that you understand. Now, you have to read this and give me the answer for this. I mean, your company is currently rolling out a time management software that will be developed in 5 different language versions to sell globally. The rollout of the product will be developed, released, and marketed within 3 months of each other. This can be described as project, portfolio, program, or work package. There's a project to develop a time management software, right? There are 3 phases: developing, releasing, and marketing. They're doing the 3 months from each other, right? Is it a project, portfolio, program, or work package? Now the thing is this. Here, your task is developing a software. Can you see my, yeah. There are three things to be done: developing, marketing, developing, releasing, and marketing. But if you have an understanding, these are done by three different groups of people. So it's the same software, so it has to be coordinated, but done by three different sets of people. So typically, they are managed as three projects. Three projects. So one is not an answer. There are three projects. Developing is a project itself. Marketing is a project itself. Releasing is the project itself. So three projects. Right? Now, for this to be set a portfolio, there were three things like projects, programs, portfolios. Right? For this to be set a portfolio, there should be a program here. Program in the sense, like if we are given data to say that developing is done by several set of people and coordinated together, then this is a program. Then this is a program, and others are projects. Others are projects. Here, no data have been given to say that. Right? Portfolio is managing a set of projects and a set of programs. Right? So this is not a portfolio. Data are not sufficient to say that. Work package is a totally different thing. So this is a program. That's the correct answer. Which of the following is not a required skill set of which of the following is not a required skill set that a project manager should have? Problem solving, communication, motivational, development skills. Not a required skill set. Most of you are saying development skills. Yes. Development skills, pretty much technical things that I told is not really essential. It's good, but not essentially required. Right? Not essentially required. Right. A good project manager spends 90% of his time doing what? In fact, it's something that we have to know. Management is all about communication. Management is all about communication. Normally, a good project manager spends about 90% of his time communicating, meetings, calls, like that. Right? It's the management skills. Communication skills is a big part of management skills. The project has been going well until you recently discovered that the site of an offshore development team has just conducted an emergency evacuation due to a political rally has become violent. This comes as a shock to the local project team. How could this have been avoided? Right? There was a political rally and it got escalated, like in America now. Political rally has got escalated and you had to immediately evacuate. Right? How could this be avoided? By being aware of project environment, by not working with an offshore team. This is an offshore team, country abroad, a team abroad. by creating policies that require employees to work under whatever circumstances, like even if a rally is there, you can't evacuate. Can't forcing that. Okay, we'll discuss this. Now the thing is, the political rally has become violent and offshore team had to evacuate and you couldn't work properly. How could this have been avoided? It's a matter of project environment. Normally, before getting escalated into a level that cannot be controlled, there should be small protests. What has happened in the United States is an example for that. Right? So we have to be sensitive to the project environment. We have to be sensitive to the project environment. If this escalates, what should we do? That's what is happening with this corona situation now. What if the universities start and the disease gets spreaded? So we have to be sensitive to the environment. Construction projects, what if it happens, right? So the answer to this is yes. Not working with an offshoring obviously is not an option because it's your business. You can't create policies that requires that cannot be done. Even if you are dead, you have to you can't have policies like that, right? This could not have been avoided. No, this could have been avoided due to that. Even if that could not have been avoided, there should be a reason. There should be a reason. Okay. So this I don't expect you to do now, right? That you have the slides, you can do it. Right. This is our last set of slides that you are going to do for the day. So next day onwards, we'll start the knowledge areas. Now we're going to discuss, this is something that everybody knows, but we'll systematically discuss it and move on, right? Systematically discuss this and move on. Yes. This is to get a broader perspective of the project, right? This is the life cycle from the start of the project, from the start of the project to the very end. Right? From the start of the project to the end of the project, the phases that we need to follow. The phases that we need to follow. Right? The structures, the phases, they vary with the project environment, and there are phases. There are two things that we have to understand to differentiate. Okay? That you have to understand to yes, understand to differentiate. Phases and process groups. What are phases and what are process groups are the things that we need to differentiate during this set of slides. Right. Phases are that the projects are divided into several segments, sections. Projects are, let's say, for a typical building construction, there's a design phase. Maybe initial phase even before the design. This is for the building project. Huh? There's a design phase. Maybe a construction phase. maybe a handing over phase to check the quality and all. Right? So if you are the client, you have to go through all these phases. Sometimes the design phase has to be done after this, sometimes this has to be done after this, sometimes this can be done parallel. Right? So those are phases. While the design is going on, before that gets totally finished, we can be able to start the construction phase. Even the construction phase, before it is totally over, we can start the handing over. So they may be, if this is a process, they may be sequential like this, or they may be overlapping like this. So the number of phases, the phases that we need to participate, maybe the contractor, maybe construction phase only, right? He may have different phases like the substructure phase, superstructure phase, right? So those are the different phases that we can have in a project. Those are phases. Typically, there's a beginning phase, intermediate phase, and ending phase. Now, beginning phase here in the example that I have shown you, right? Beginning phase. Intermediate phase may be these two, right? Final phase may be this. Right? So there's typically initial, there's no hard and fast rule that these are the phases that we have to have. There are no hard and fast rule, right? So in a construction project, yes, what I have told you. In a software project, maybe designing the architecture, developing, quality checking, those are different processes, right? Different processes. So they depend on the type of project, the type of organization, the magnitude of the project, everything. So the number of phases we can't really say, right? Number of phases we can't really say. Okay, process groups we will discuss after discussing this. There are several terminology that we need to know in this. Feasibility study that you know from your project. What are the types of feasibility studies that you know? Environmental feasibility. You know that Mount Avinia beach case, it's an environmental feasibility issue. Okay, financial feasibility, technical feasibility, social feasibility. That means whether this project can be implemented or not. We have to, before doing a project, we should be checking whether this will work or not. Right? Should be checking whether this can be done or not. That is what we call feasibility study. I'm not going into detail of this, so we have to have an understanding. Right? We have to have an understanding. Okay, handing off after a phase, there should be a review and there's a handing over process. That is what you call handing off. Fast tracking is doing things parallel work. In a practical case, that is what it is. Right? You can overlap the activities. You can, for example, while the wall is going on, you can do the construction of doors and windows. So you don't need to finish walls to start that, right? So total amount of time taken for that is less. Deliverable is a measurable output. Like a BOQ is a deliverable. Your coursework is a deliverable. Right? Your exam marks are deliverables. Measurable outputs. Subphases within a phase, maybe within a design phase, let's say, there's a structural design phase, architectural design phase, structural, services. Within a phase, you have to have different, you might have different subphases. Right? You might have different subphases. So that is what you call subphases. Within a phase, there are several segments and we divide the phase into. Phase end review, after design phase, there's a review, design review. Right? We call them phase exit, phase gate, or kill points. So you review this and you give the OK for this. So those are the terminology that we need. We will use these later. So I'm not going to explain this terminology again to you. So you understand. If you have an issue, either you can send me a chat message or you can refer. These are not so difficult things. Now, this is the project life cycle chart. Typical cost and typical staffing. This you understand. Start initial project, you need only maybe several architects, like that. Right? Organizing and preparing the tendering. After tendering, you take and understand mobilization, everything. Gradually, the staffing level increase. When the project is carrying on, the cost and the staffing level, staff that you need. And closing, you send those people away, or your cost is reducing drastically. This is the construction. In a typical construction project, this is a construction phase. This may be the mobilizing. This may be designing. This may be handing off. Right? Difficult. I mean, we all know this. We all know this. But we're discussing this systematically. Right? And this is an important chart. If you want to make a change to something, right? If you do it initially, this is the project time, and this is the whether the cost here, this graph, cost of change is high or low. If you make a change as early as possible, the cost of change is less. Right? After construction, you can't change the shape of the building. If you want to change the shape of the building, you have to demolish and do that. That incurs a huge cost. Right? The cost of change is high when the time goes by. So if you want to make a change in the project, the earlier you do that, the better. On the other hand, stakeholder influence, what the society says, what the client says, what the architect says, what the authorities say, the influence or risk, uncertainty, those are very high initial. Everybody wants changes to be done. Everybody wants their objectives to be satisfied. Once the time goes by, it reduces. So stakeholder influence and risk and uncertainty is highest during the initial phase of the project. There you have to identify stakeholders. This is very important. Identifying stakeholders and managing their expectations, understanding their expectations is very important. If you understand the stakeholder somewhere this time, right, you might have to face some troubles. Like I have given you a question like that last time as well. So please, the thing that you have to understand is that cost of change is less initially. Stakeholder influence is very high initially. and by the end it's the other way around. So this graph you're expected to have an understanding. Right. Now I told you two words earlier: phases and process groups. Phases and process groups. Phases, we can't give a number. Depending on a project, depending on the project, or depending on the type of organization, or depending on the phase of the project that you're involved in, the number of phases could be different. That is subjective. Even from person to person, the way that you analyze things are different. But process groups are not like that. Process groups, there's a specific number that doesn't change from project to project. These 5. Right? These are definitive 5 process groups. Remember, I will discuss the difference between those two. Process groups 5. Phases, we can't tell a number. That depends on many variables. Right? So we have these 5 process groups. Initiating process group. This is as per the project management body of knowledge. That document I have shared with you. Project management body of knowledge. It's considered the Bible of project management. Initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, closing. Initiating, like developing the contract, identifying the stakeholders, those are initiating places. Defining the scope, those things are initiating. Planning, you understand the things that you need to do. Executing is basically the construction project, the construction. Right? The real construction. Monitoring and controlling, we have discussed this. We have a plan, we have a project, whether the project is going according to the plan, and there may be suggestions, there may be changes, suggestions for changes that you have to understand. And this is the other is the closing process. So process groups, there are 5 like this. Phases, we can't tell a number. Right. Within each phase, this big rectangle is a phase. Right? Maybe a project, maybe a phase. Maybe a project, maybe a phase. Design phase, within the design phase itself, you can't have this initiating process, planning, executing, right? Monitoring and controlling throughout, planning, when executing, if there are changes, monitoring and controlling, suggest changes. Then you go over that in a cycle and closing the project and end in the phase or the project. There are these 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Those are 5 process groups. Why this is called process groups, we will discuss in the next slide. Remember, this big rectangle can be a phase or it can be a project. Entire project can be categorized into this. So the phase itself can be categorized like this. Okay. Here, one example. One approach to cleaning of a hazardous waste site. There are 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, Phase 3. Phase 1 is facility decommissioning. Phase 2 is waste removal. Phase 3 is landscaping. So within facility decommissioning place, there are these 5 process groups. Within the phase, there are these 5 process groups. Within this phase, 5 process groups. Within this phase, there are 5 process groups. Right? Okay. So number of phases, we can't say the exact number. In this particular case, there are 3 phases. But depending on the case, the number of phases will be different. Okay. And building a new factory, constructing a building. Here in this case, you have 2 phases, design phase, construction phase. Within the phase, you have these 5. Design, initiating, design, planning the design, doing the exact design, and monitoring the design. After that, providing design drawings. Yeah, okay. The questions we will discuss. So there's a difference. Right? So phases, number of phases, that depends on the designer, consultant, or anybody. Okay, there's a phase, there's another phase. Right? Even the construction phase, you can have several sub phases. Construction of superstructure, maybe superstructure, substructure. Those are called sub phases. Right? Even within a sub phase, you can have these 5 process groups. Okay, so this is initiative process group, starts here and ends somewhere here. Planning goes here with monitoring, goes like that, the time, with the time, typically. So this you can understand. And this is important thing. This is the most important thing. Remember, from the next day onwards, this is the path that we will be moving on. This is the order of things that will be delivered. Right? There are several processes. Processes in the sense, there are certain things that a project manager should do with a measurable delivery. Right? So this is for what I have divided you into groups. Groups. Right? Initiating process group have these 2 processes. What these processes are, we will discuss in detail. Planning process group, you have to develop these things. Executing, you have to do these things. These are processes. Here, this one, 4.1 is a process. It's a process in the initiating process group. Try to understand this. This is very important because this is what we'll be following. Initiating, what are the things that you are supposed to do? And there are 9 knowledge areas. Project integration management, scope management, time management, cost management, quality, human resources, communication, risk, and procurement. Right? Let's say time management. In time management, initiating phase, initiating process, what are things that you need to do? initiating, you don't need to do anything. In planning, you have to define activities, you have to sequence activities, you have to estimate resource durations, right? You have to measure, estimate activity durations, develop schedule. Those are the things that you need in the planning, right? I'm expecting you to do each of these things for a particular project. That's what my expectation is. You're selecting a project, right? You're developing the project management plan. Yeah, the project management plan. That's a combination of all these things. Okay, that's a combination of all these things. For example, let's say communication management. Initially, the first thing you need to do is identify stakeholders. For your project, I expect you to identify stakeholders. How to do this? What are the tools and techniques that we need to do this? That we will discuss in the class. Then I'll give you some time. I'll give you some time to develop these things. Plan communications, how to do, what are the things that you need to have, what are the tools, what are the techniques, that we will discuss in the class. Right? Project cost management, estimating costs. So developing the BOQ, determining the budget that you are expected to do. I don't mind whether you have that. If you have a project, that's fine. If you don't have, I'll give you time to prepare during the class. So maybe at your home, but ultimately I expect all these documents to be compiled and submitted to me. Okay. This is page number 40 something in your project management body of knowledge. You can go through the document. It's that book that I'm going to discuss with you throughout the semester. So we'll go like this. Project integration management will be our next lecture. The lecture after that will be scope management, time management, like that. Right? In a typical construction, things are happening in a vertical direction. First thing you have to do is developing charter. Charter is the contract and those things. Finalizing the scope, those things. So for your project, I expect you to develop a project charter. You can search in the internet, you can discuss with anybody you want, but I need the output for your project that you're selecting. Right? What it is and the things to be included in that we will discuss in the class. So this is the thing in the entire semester, entire module. Entire module is here. So in project integration management, project charter, what it is, we will discuss. Project management plan, what it is, we will discuss. Direct and manage execution, what it is, we will discuss. Right? So this will be a one lecture. Right? Next day, we will come and discuss this one. Right? So that's the plan. That's the plan. The following are true of a project except project lifecycle except. Example 1, okay, I'll display the question. So example 2 is this. New project is under consideration. In order to assist in making the decisions on whether the project is a go, you have been tasked with conducting a study of existing potential of a project. What is it? Right, I'm moving to the next question. The phase and review is also known as following except. Except in the sense 3 answers are correct, 1 is wrong. I'm asking the wrong answer. We will discuss all the answers once you all finishes. Next question. Stakeholder influence is highest within the project during which phase? stakeholder influence, initial, intermediate, final, all. The last one. As a phased end review occurs, what comes next? So I'll share the results. The following are true of a project except. That means what we need is the wrong answer. What we need is the wrong answer. Does it contain 3 phases? No. Right? Phases, we don't have a number. It's subjective. It should be subjective. So this is wrong. So this is the answer. It connects program from beginning to end. Yes. Right? Risk is highest at the beginning. Yes. Defines the life for the project. Yes. Those are facts. So the first one is the correct answer. It does not contain 3 phases. We can't say the number of phases. Right? Second one, yeah, feasibility study. Potential of the project, it's feasibility study. That's the definition of feasibility study. Most of the other things you don't know. Right. Example 3. Base and reveal is also known as following, except kill point is a name. It was there in the slide. This is correct. Phase 8 is a correct answer. Phase exit is a correct answer. Handoff? No. It happens after the phase end review. So the correct answer is this. Handoff. Right. Stakeholder influence is highest in the initial phase. Yes. Most of you are saying it correct. This we have discussed. Right? The graph. Example 5. Phase and review occurs. Next comes is the handoff. Handoff. Not a feasibility study. Before, next phase, we don't know whether it's already going on or not. Right? There may be some overlapping phases. Kickoff meeting is a starting meeting. Handoff is the answer. Right? Right. Mind map, this you can do leisurely. Work breakdown structure that I'm expecting you to do for the time being. I don't expect you to do this.